Hi, welcome to another episode of Silver Fox Scotland, and boy, is this a story. So, ears back, pay attention. It's such a good story, I should put it on my main channel. So, you're one of my viewers here on Silver Fox Scotland, you're getting the exclusive on this. Calmac, the people who run Scotland's ferries, are about to sue a shipbuilder. They're about to sue Camel Laird. This goes back to, let's just say, terrible repairs, right? Because in January 2024, an old rust bucket called the Caledonian Isles, it went in for a routine inspection, and it was found that the hull was so rusty, so damaged, so falling apart that literally the arse was falling out, and it was in great danger of founding, of sinking. It was deemed to be critically unsafe and demanded immediate, urgent repairs. Camel Laird, shipbuilder, won the contract to repair the ship. And of course, it has to come in, has to be put into dry dock because you've got to work on the underside. So put it into dry dock, put it up on blocks, and the workers there at Camel Laird did the repairs. Their bill for this repair was £5 million, not insubstantial amount of money. However, since the Caledonian Isles was returned to Calmac, further problems have emerged with the ship, this time involving the gearbox connected to the engine. There's been huge shards of metal have somehow fallen into the gearbox, ground up. Some got into the oil filter and so forth. Of course, as you'll not be aware, that is highly dangerous. I mean, it could actually break the gearbox entirely. It'll damage the oil filters. It's a serious matter. It needs to be repaired. So Calmac called in marine architects, and they found that half the problem was that the hull has deformed, and that 8 of the ribs, the frames that go sideways through the ship, goes like that, the ribs go like that, 8 of them are now need to be replaced. They're damaged, bent, and twisted and so forth. This should have been fixed when the hull was repaired, but strangely, oddly, wasn't. And so when this ship of doom was due to go back into service, which was last month, having had them repaired, now more faults have been found and more repairs are required. And so far, the bill is £10.8 million and climbing. Still nowhere near completed on the repairs yet. Could end up being 15, possibly 20 million. Now, because of this, Calmac are going now to sue Camel Laird for the costs of the full repair, saying that it was a very bad repair and that it should have been repaired fully, and that the bad repair they've done has caused more troubles, etc., etc. Now, of course, this will just see the end of Camel Laird. Camel Laird can't pay it. They're done. They'll go into administration, and that's it. However, isn't it funny how they feel very comfortable suing Camel Laird, but they don't feel quite so comfortable suing Ferguson Marine? Why are they not suing Ferguson Marine for much the same thing? Belated bad repairs, terrible ship, etc. Their failure to deliver the Glen Sannox and the Glen Rosa. Glen Rosa's unlikely ever to sail at the current rate. And yet they've not sued Ferguson Marine. Can it possibly be, that it would, by suing Ferguson Marine, you would actually be suing the Scottish government? And so you would actually have the government's official ferry quango, for the want of a better word, suing its own government that controls it. And so therefore they can't sue Ferguson Marine. I mean, strictly speaking, they can, but it would be the government that would have to pay up. Can Calmac sue the Scottish government? Would the Scottish government allow Calmac to sue the Scottish government? If there was an independent judiciary, it could be argued that they could go to the court to find out. But as the judiciary is controlled by a woman sitting inside the cabinet of the Scottish government, it's very, very difficult. So I have a feeling that possibly Calmac won't ever be suing Ferguson Marine. But they're very quick to sue other people. Now, you aren't going to see much of this on the mainstream media, of course, because, you know, the government and Calmac will be trying to keep the story quiet. But it is, if you want to go and have a look at the full tale, available, I believe, on the BBC site. If you go up to the BBC News website and click on Scottish News, there's a bit there. But I haven't seen this in, say, the Scottish Daily Mail, the Daily Record, anything like that. Sorry, Scottish Daily Express, or the Daily Record, or the Herald, or what's the other one, that hack rag, the National, things like that. Haven't seen it there. But, you know, elsewhere, yeah, BBC are doing it. And so we sit all agog and wonder what's going on. Why are they not suing? And yet it's the same. It's exactly the same story. It's a shit ship that isn't fit for service, being malfixed, in and out of dry dock, in and out of being repaired. One lot gets sued, the other one don't. What to do? Well, I've got no answer, but I'm sure someone will. Not me, though. Thanks to Bernie. You know who you are, Bernie. Thanks for this story, mate. I wasn't aware of it until you pushed it there. So this is one of those times when a viewer of the channel who suggested a story, I've looked into it, and yeah, it's a cracking story. So thanks. And I will say, if any of you good people out there have a story you think's interesting and that, do let me know. I'm always happy to look. Doesn't always mean I'm going to get the story out, but you know, it may be something, while I don't do a story on it in full, it may be absorbed into something else. So always very happy to accept things like that. And also, while I'm here, an awful lot of you watch the channel. You're not yet subscribed. It's about 60% of you who watch regularly aren't subscribed. And it would massively, massively help the channel with the algorithm if you do hit the subscribe button. The difference it makes is immense. And so I want to try and get to 10,000 by the end of the year. We're at 6.5 or so now. So help us get there to 10,000 by the end of the year by hitting that subscribe button. Thank you very much. Hope the story was great. Speak to you soon. Bye.